Hi everyone. Hi Menaka.
Hello, Sangeeta. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I think let's just wait for like a couple of more minutes for people to join and we can
Absolutely.
start. Yeah.
Sounds good
Also,
to me.
yes. Also, it is raining here. I don't know if you can hear.
Well, I have construction, like very
Oh,
loud
okay.
construction behind me, so
Okay. Okay. Great.
it'll be kind of a musical accompaniment to our conversation.
Yes. Hopefully a good one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think in a way, yes, because I think even the book we're talking about kind of has that sort of atmospheric vibe to it.
Yeah. Lots happening in a
Yeah, a
busy
lot of hustle
community.
and bustle.
So
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, people are okay. So everyone in the audience, if you can hear us, can you just give a thumbs up in the comments so we know we're not just talking to ourselves and you can hear us as well. I'll repeat that. If you can hear us, please give a thumbs up in the comments. Oh, thank you, Namrata. Okay, good. We are audible.
amazing. Hi, Namrata. Hi, Kanika.
Thank you, Neha. Thank you, guys. All we have. I hope I read that correctly. Shivani. Okay, great. We are audible. I am happy about that.
Awesome.
Yeah, okay, there is a bit of a lag. Yeah, this is it's raining in Chennai, guys. Please bear with us. But okay, yeah, I think we can get started. We have a lot of people joining in, so I think we're good to go. So hi everyone, welcome to another session of Book Talk. It has been a while, and this time we have Menaka Raman with us. She is an award-winning children's writer based in Bangalore. She's also a communications consultant, and today we're here to talk about her latest book. What do we name this dog?
Yay. Well, I hold my copy up too. Okay.
Yes, yes, you must. A very adorable book. And I mean, obviously, I think you can guess by the name of the book that it is about a dog that's kind of found his way in a community and they're trying to figure what to call him. So, actually, the first thing I want to ask you is, how did you get the idea for this book?
Yeah, so a little over a year ago, I was in Madras visiting my parents, and we have a dog called Woody, and he always comes with us to Madras because we drive to Madras from Bangalore. And so then I take him for walks around, all his walks we do around the neighborhood. And where my parents live, there are lots and lots of community four-legged friends, lots of streeties, lots of cats who are
Okay.
there. And yeah, lots. And every time we visit, they're always like looking at Woody with this kind of, what are you doing here? This is our territory kind of thing. And I've become familiar with them over the years. And on this particular visit, as I was walking Woody, there was one very feisty, uh, uh, community pup who, was chasing us and like barking at us and this very friendly, he was just very excited, I think, to see me and Woody. And one of the watchmen of the building kept shouting out to him, "Oi, oi!" And I thought, in Madras also, you also kind of just refer to someone you don't know as like oi or a kind of thing. And then, so I thought, oh, okay, he's kind of just calling to him that way. But then, the dog ran up to him and he was like petting him and he was calling him oi. And that was actually his name. And I thought, I was just thinking, what a great name and what a fun name. And I wonder how that name came to be. And so, yeah, that was just kind of, that was, yeah, that's where the story came from. And also because just growing up in Madras, and I'm sure for many people, our streeties and our cats in our neighborhood are as much a part of the community as the people who live there. So,
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think that really comes across in the book as well. I think that sense of community you've tried to weave in. I think even like the illustrator Proiti Roy, she's also done a good job of kind of bringing that to life, honestly. So fun,
Absolutely.
yeah. So fun fact: Proiti Roy works with rescue dogs and streeties, and she raises over 20 rescue dogs herself, which is incredible. Which is why I think uh, we all thought collectively she'd be like one of the best fits to do this book, for various reasons. So yeah, I think that's something that's really come across. And you mentioned Woody, who's a cocker spaniel, if
That's
I'm
right.
right.
Yes, yes, that's right.
So
He
then, like, since you work, I mean, as in you raise Woody, of course, and you have this affinity to streeties, do you kind of then think those experiences have sort of helped in bringing this story to life?
uh, I think one of the things that that incident and then the writing of this book that really came to the fore is that Woody, we got him from another family. He belonged to somebody else, it was someone else's dog, and then they couldn't care for him anymore, so they were looking to give him away. And it was around the same time that we were looking to to add a dog to our family, and so it all just kind of worked out. So interestingly, when we got Woody, he already had another name. He
Oh,
was called Brooke, and
okay.
yeah. And we got him. He was about 4.5, 5 months old when he came home to us. And somehow, the name Brooke for us just didn't sit with with him and his personality and how he looked. And we all were like, should we change his name? Maybe he's already used to it. And what should we call him? And then we decided, of course, to rechristen Woody as it was. And there was just so much debate in the family. There are four of us. And so we all had our own opinions and ideas. Then my parents weighed in. My sister, who has three dogs, she and her children had their own ideas for what we should call Woody. So there were so many names. So a lot of that kind of came into it. How everyone, whether you're bringing home a pet or whether you're having a baby, everyone has their own idea on what the name should be. So a lot of that really came into it. Of course, we finally named him Woody after the character in Toy Story, because that's a film everyone in my family loves and that we watched so many times. And he's brown in color, so yeah, that was the name.
Yeah, in fact, Toy Story, it's so funny because was one of the first like DVDs my father ever got for me. So I vividly remember like watching it, and I love that
Yeah.
movie too. So completely resonate with that. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's interesting you brought up the whole part about naming things, because you've written a blog for Tulika, and it's there on the Tulika blog, about how you were a copywriter, and this whole thing of how you had to one of your first gigs was actually naming children's personal care products. And then you went on to talk about basically how your family had this thing of naming like inanimate things like your
Yeah.
car and whatnot, and of course this whole thing of naming animals and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So then how do you, and that also kind of shows in the book, so I want to know, are these like names you've already kind of encountered in real life, and or what was it like just coming up with all the names, because it's not just names for the dogs,
Yeah.
for the dog, but also names for the characters.
Yes, yeah. So I actually really struggle with naming characters. I mean, even though I've done it, I've kind of worked in advertising and I've had to come up with brand names, and maybe that early experience kind of scarred me for life, because at some one point you're just kind of writing anything and everything that comes to mind, and you're putting it down. So there are some names that kind of I instinctively knew. Or sometimes I like to name kind of characters after people I know. It's a nice little surprise for them. And as long as it's a good character, if it's a villain, people get very upset if any villainous characters are named after them. But I try and name characters after my friends, after people I know. Sometimes it's just a really interesting name that kind of sticks in your head, and you're always thinking, I have a little book, I'll write it down and think, oh, this is a good name for a character at some point of time. But yeah, I think there were a lot of names, and even with the editorial team, they were like, oh, can we, what else might we name this character, and things like that. I think in the early draft, the names had, of course, a very definite Madras flavor, Madras vibe to them. So we kind of wanted to just kind of broaden that the setting of the story. So I think for some of the characters, I actually asked friends of mine because I was getting very stuck. And then sometimes you get into your own head so much. Any name that you come up with is like, no, 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 this doesn't feel right. Um, so the name Nupur and Rosie actually came from a friend of mine. When I asked a bunch of friends, give me some names that you love. What are your favorite names for, men and women? Nupur and Rosie. And I love the name Nupur. It's a beautiful name. So yeah, been a bit of a process, but I struggle with naming books. I struggle with naming characters a lot.
Okay. But I think that way, then I think it's ideal that this book is titled "What Do We Name This Dog?" because that kind of is the sort of crux of the story. And because you brought up the names, I also want to kind of just take a minute to show like two spreads from the book. Since you mentioned Nupur, I think this is that spread where you've named that cat.
Yeah, she's so lovely.
Yeah.
Royalty is just like amazing. She's
And
wonderful.
of course, there is our protagonist.
There's a wonderful four-legged champion of the story.
Yeah, no, for sure. And again, like this is one of my favorite spreads. So I'm just gonna like take a minute and just say, I love this. It's like it's so
It,
cute.
yeah. I think Royalty's affinity and her time with so many dogs really shines through in those mannerisms and those little kind of quirks that dogs have in their behaviors. She's captured it so beautifully.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think it really comes with, and even I think just the community, right? The characters who are
Yes.
there with the dog. I think it's so lovely to kind of see that also kind of
Yeah.
play in with the animals. So it's really nice. Um, so what are some of your favorite spreads, or what is your favorite spread in the book, if I may
Ooh.
ask?
Of course, I definitely. So one of my favorite characters is Nirmala, the flower
Oh,
seller.
I love that spread too. I know what it's called because yeah,
I
okay.
really love Nirmala, and she's just amazing. She's
Yeah.
one of my favorites, and I also really like the
Yeah.
new
So cute.
the new uncle
Yeah.
next door.
Yeah.
I really love that,
Yeah.
and the colors. I of course matched my outfit to kind of match the
Oh
color
wow,
scheme of the
okay.
book today, but no, but I love the color scheme of the
Yeah.
book, and like you said, she's really kind of brought the community alive. And I know, when I was growing up, I grew up on a street, where there were not so many apartments. It was like smaller houses, or small kind of two houses above, two houses below, and you know everyone in your community. You know who the vegetable selling Anna is. You know the name of your istri vendor. You know the name of the flower seller, the lady who comes and gives you the milk. And you've kind of, you grow up and they see you grow up, and it's lovely. They come for your wedding. They know when you've had babies, all of that. And I think one thing that I really, as our cities expand and grow, is that we're all kind of moving into, and I live in a gated community in Bangalore, and we're moving more and more into this kind of gated community kind of space now. And that I really miss that. I really miss that for my children. That that there are all these people who are a part of your life, and who are a part of your growing up years, and who are so important to us. And we kind of, children are like losing a bit of touch with that, I feel. So for me, it was like I really wanted to capture how special everyone in a community is.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think that really comes through in the book, right? Just with the way you've written it, but also, again, coming back to the illustrations, that sort of visual aid that complements it so well. It really, like, you get a sense of, like, a community that is there, which is really nice. But, like I mentioned in your intro, you are a children's writer. You've written several children's books, picture books, and, of course, chapter books as well. What is the difference for you in terms of how different is it when it comes to writing a picture book as opposed to a chapter book?
Um, I mean, they both have their challenges, but and their fun things as well. But I think for me, a picture book is you have such economy of words, right? It's like 300 words and tell a story, and there has to have that whole story arc, and you have to introduce your character and all of those things in sometimes 300 words, 400 words. And also, of course, with picture books like this, you are kind of trying to reach the youngest readers, who are who can be very fickle. who can be distracted,
Yes.
by anything and everything. So you'd also really have to find a way to engage them and kind of keep them short, but kind of keep that attention going with them. So I think picture books are always like a great challenge because you're really trying to say as much as you can. I mean, but having said that, the wonderful thing about picture books is that the illustrator is there to kind of shoulder and take on so much of what maybe you're not able to say through your words or what you want to leave out. They're able to kind of lift that with their art. So that's always wonderful.
No, that's really cool because I think they're both such. I mean, even though, yes, you are writing for children, they're different formats in a sense. And I would assume that your process would be different just
Yes.
given
Yeah.
the nature of however you're writing the
Both
story.
the things. I think with the longer books, with chapter books or kind of novels, for me personally, the thing is always like, oh, have I tied up all the loose ends? And is this character who I named in chapter two, is it still their name by the end of the book? And of course, that's why editors are so amazing. They're there to kind of spot all of those, all of those little things. But
Yes.
yeah, that is definitely something that's tricky with longer work.
So having said that, then like, what do you find challenging about writing for children, and how do you kind of deal with it?
I think the challenge is always, is this authentic? I think
Mm.
because at the end of the day, I am, a grown up, trying to enter the world of children and kind of be a part of that space and talk to them through my words and through my writing. And so then, and sometimes, of course, as a children's book writer, you take on the voice of young people through your characters, and so is that authentic? Does it feel real? Does it resonate with who children are today? I think sometimes I worry, oh, I shouldn't sound like, I mean, unless it's a book set in the 80s, I shouldn't sound like a child who grew up in the 80s, or my characters shouldn't.
Yeah,
That's a
fair.
problem. It shouldn't be dated. So I think that authenticity is something that I'm always kind of wondering about. Um, I have two kids, they're
Yeah.
15 and 12, and they are very often the first readers of my work. And so I think the great thing is that they're there to kind of, they're
Give you
very
honest feedback.
ruthless. They're very honest, they're very ruthless, and it can be hurtful at times, but they always tell me, no, no, no one talks like this. No one, why have you said this and why have you used this word? So they're very, very honest with me. So I'm very lucky that they're there to tell me like it is.
Yeah, I think it helps also to kind of get that feedback from the reader you're kind of targeting, right? To kind of be like, hey, this may not work. This is, and I think yeah, if it's your kids, I'm sure they'll be like really upfront with you about
Very.
something's
A
wrong.
little too much.
Okay, yeah. I mean, you gotta love the parent-child dynamic. But having said that, then what do you enjoy the most about writing for kids?
Um, I think it's also the chance that it lets me kind of be a child again, or kind of remember that time and kind of slip back into that feeling and just yeah relive that experience. And also I think I'm as a parent as well. It kind of sometimes gets me to reckon with the fact that it really is hard to be a child at times, and everything feels so unfair, like your whole life is being decided by everyone other than you.
Yeah,
you know
true.
and everyone else and everyone else seems to be running your life. You don't get a say in a lot of things. So I'm always trying, it's good for me to kind of come face to face with some of those injustices, and kind of think about then how am I with my own children and with other young people I meet. So I think that's something that I find really, really helpful. But I think the best thing is that you can just be a child again, or at least I try to.
Yeah, no, for sure, that's amazing. But because you're talking about this, and something else that kind of came up in my mind was that then when you're writing, obviously, and you said that you don't want to sound dated and whatnot, but having said that, are there things you feel which have remained like theme wise or generally like constant, or hasn't changed at all? Like, oh my god, this is the same thing even I dealt with as a kid, what kids are dealing with today. Have there been
Yes.
any such?
I think the the thing that all of us face as we grow up, as we go from kind of, being a child to then being like a tween and a teenager, they're all the same. We all have, everyone's dealing with some insecurity or the other. There are the insecurities, the worries, the challenges with our friends, our frenemies, all of those are the same feelings. I think wanting to not be left out, wanting to be
Yeah.
included, wanting to be understood, all of those things are still very, very much the same. It's just that maybe sometimes the language we use to talk about these things, that's changed. The things that you might feel excluded from and how you want to become a part of that, those have changed maybe over the years. But I think at the very heart of it, it's still kind of all those kind of highs and lows are pretty much, I think, the same.
Yeah, that's fair. So then, like I said, you've written picture books and chapter books. Having said that, how significant do you think illustrations are when it comes to, telling a story?
Oh, I mean, where would we be without our illustrators? Like, where?
Yes.
And I think we have some of the most
Yeah.
talented artists in the country today. Big shout out to all of them. They're all fabulous. They're so talented. And, I think especially in a picture book, without the illustrations, they're just black words on a white page. And, it's that. But the illustrations at the color, at the vibrancy. They really bring the words alive, and
Yeah.
it's and especially in picture books where there is an economy of words, the illustrations are not there as a pictorial, translation or a representation of the words. Very often they're adding a layer,
Yeah.
they're showing something which
Yeah.
the words are not saying, and they're so important. They're so important. And even, if it's a chapter book or a novel, it's the cover that is going to hopefully attract, a young person walking by in a bookstore and wanting to, pick up that book because it looks interesting and they want to see what it's about. So our illustrators are the best.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, a huge shout out to I think all the illustrators working on various books. I think, like you said, we have some incredible talent, especially in India and South Asia today, and it's so cool to kind of see them all kind of come out with like different things and collaborations,
Mm.
which is amazing. So we're kind of coming to the end of this interview, and before wrapping up, I just want to quickly say that Menaka will be at Bangalore Literature Festival on December 2nd. 3 p.m. at the Lalita Shok with, of course, what do we name this dog? So
Yes.
if you're in Bangalore, please be there. And finally, before I let you go, what do you want readers to take from this book?
Oh, I really hope that readers will pick up this book, and I think like we're increasingly, it's just the times we live in. We're kind of further and further inside our own little homes, and kind of very preoccupied with ourselves and our lives, and our screens maybe also a little bit too much. So I hope the book acts as a or serves as a kind of reminder to step outside, to meet other people in your community, to meet other people, your neighbors, to meet the people who really work so hard to care for us and and care for our communities and look after us. And also to remember to kind of, be kind to our four-legged friends, and our winged friends who also, have as much a right to be there as we do. So I really hope that that's what they take away.
And that's lovely. And on that note, we have now come to the end of this session. As I said, if you're in Bangalore, please do drop by on the 2nd at Bangalore Lit Fest. Menaka will be there with this lovely book. And yeah, thank you so much for joining us today, Menaka.
Thank you, Sangeeta. Thanks so much. This was great fun, and I'm really looking forward to meeting some readers at the Children's Lit Fest at Bangalore Lit Fest this weekend. So I hope to see you all there.
Yeah. Bye.